Greetings and welcome to Ethio-Digest, and thank you for joining us. In today's program, we'll present the first of our two-part presentation. Our presentation this time is our translation of an incredible investigative report done by Ethio Forum. If we have to understand the very nature of the current regime and its association with the most blasphemous religious institutions, the relevance, timeliness, depth, and credibility of this scholarly and professionally crafted piece would be worthy of our time and your time. We felt obligated to translate this extraordinary work from Amharic to English, believing that it should also be known by the non-Amharic speaking world. Ethio Forum was generous and did give us an exclusive permission to carry out this task. We are delighted to bring you this work we titled Evangelist Wars and Evangelist Elections in Ethiopia. Please stay with us till the end, as this report brilliantly exposes the criminal intent and the unconstitutional ways and means used by Abiy Ahmed Ali to ascend and hold on to power. Here is part one of our presentation. Thank you for joining us.
እግዚአብሔር የተናገረ ነገር የሚነገር ነብይ ነኝ። የዘንድሮ ምርጫም የሚቀጥለው ምርጫም ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር አብይ አህመድ ያሸንፋል። ጨብጨቡ። ቤተ መንግስትን ጸሎት በጸሎት መጽሐፍ ቅዱስ በመጽሐፍ ቅዱስ የሚያደርግ መሪ በመጣበት ጊዜ ምን አናደደው?
አንድ ያየሁት ራእይ ላይ እንጸልያለን። ለሊት ያየሁት አንድ ራእይ አለና ስለ ፕራይም ሚኒስተር ዶክተር አብይ እንጸልያለን።
አብይን ለመገለበጥ የሚፈልግ ማን እንደሆነ አይታችኋል? አብይ ዛሬም ነገም ከነገ ወዲያም አይገለበጥም።
These are just a few of the many who receive not only instructions for prayer and vision, but also huge sums of money from the palace. They are some of the growing number of preachers who stand before the faithful and praise the murderous leaders that kill millions. They have brought chaos to the nation. They justify the war by claiming that it is waged because Jesus wanted the preaching of the gospel. They argue that the war their pious leader waged against non-believers is a holy and just war. If sanctifying this war was not enough, they boldly claim to the public that the Spirit of Jesus has already lifted the 3,000 years of darkness. At the outset, they have enabled this destructive regime to legitimize its actions by quoting texts from the Gospel and sugarcoating the very deplorable moves of the ruler. This may not apply to most evangelical believers. However, the relationship between these evangelical leaders and the Prime Minister, and their deliberate and coordinated actions in the name of the evangelicals, has led to destructive and humiliating wars and massacres. We intend to examine it thoroughly in this program. The actions of these people, who became mere servants and pages of a single individual, are taking place, so that what is written in the Gospels about false prophets and teachers had to be realized. In the words of St. Peter, it is written, "In their greed, they will exploit you with deceptive words. The ancient verdict against them is still in force, and their destruction is not delayed." And according to St. Matthew, these are the same people predestined for punishment, whom Jesus told, "My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers." And now, the very members of the gang from the very den of robbers were not only out and about holding prayers and elections, but were also claimed to have seen a vision that revealed the re-election of Abiy Ahmed, and have instructed their followers to kneel down and pray for this prophecy to take place.
ስለ ፕራይም ሚኒስተር ዶክተር አብይ እንጸልያለን። እስቲ ተንበርክከን ለሁለት ደቂቃ ለዚህ ሰው እንጸልይ። ሄደን በእውነት ነው ምላችሁ አጠገቡ ሄደን የሆነ ነገር ባንችልም እንኳን ብንጸልይለት እግዚአብሔር አምላኬ መንገዱን ያሳየው በሩን ያሳየው አባቴ የኔ ጌታ የኔ አባት
Commentators who believe that the responsibility of denouncing this gang of liars and keeping them at bay is the sole obligation of the true believers of the gospel. Their reasoning is this: campaigning and advertising for a government and promoting the regime that is wanted for bloodshed and for ending the lives of millions of people would backfire and would invite danger to all evangelical communities. Even though most of the country's evangelical population lives in abject poverty and is directly and indirectly consumed by the flames of war, and even though it is victimized by prosperity party policies that displace and kill its members, a few friends of the palace and recipients of the handsome monies from the regime are returning favor for the favor they enjoyed by unashamedly deceiving the faithful. In this program, we will take a closer look at these individuals who claim to have experienced revelations. These individuals who claim to be pastors and priests, and will add a detailed look at their direct relationship with the palace. These are individuals who prophesize Abiy's winning, claiming it was revealed to them by God. They are individuals legitimizing and sugar-coating the killing of civilians and calling it victory over evil. And they are individuals who were invited and brought in from outside the country and were given land, housing, and of course, money. When we raise the question of what was given to which self-appointed pastor or which singer in which choir and by whom, we get plenty of information shared by some palace insiders. We will name the evangelists who were summoned by the Prime Minister and were awarded millions of birr by the same Prime Minister, who ironically claims that his salary is only $400 a month. We will also single out the individuals who were handed down prayers and visions to be pronounced every morning in their pulpits. Individuals who are lined up to do the will of one man. While these servants, who in the name of evangelists were blessing wars and were in the business of opening new churches, also known as the smokeless industry, we learned from The Economist that Abiy Ahmed had self-appointed himself as the head of the Evangelical Council of Churches. When we dared to explore how the Prime Minister used these same people, we find 14 self-proclaiming pastors and prophets who gathered together to bless the Prime Minister to go to war. We will bring you the details of who did what and when. We will list the names of individuals who are paid 3,000 to 5,000 euros each month for their services to the palace.
አራት ኪሎ የኃይለ ሥላሴ መቀመጫ፣ አራት ኪሎ የደርግ ቤተ መንግስት፣ አራት ኪሎ የኢህአዴግ ቤተ መንግስት። እግዚአብሔር አለኝ የምድሪቷን ታሪክ መቀየሩ አለኝ። አዲሱ ቤተ መንግስት አልቋል አይደለም? በቃ የአራት ኪሎ ዘንዶ ሞተ።
Their infamous claim is that those who ruled Ethiopia for over 100 years were dragons. But we, who have been anointed by the Spirit of the Lord, will dwell in the new palace. That same claim, armed with the battery of prayers and revelations, coupled with the current election bid, has been a much talked about subject. other than the name itself. It is a well-known fact that this dog and pony show does not meet any established standards of any election. But that did not stop the regime from assigning people and spending money to have his entourage pray over a feast where the host and the guests are the same. Here we encounter a rather interesting phenomenon. It is a well-known fact in the neighborhood that the head of the election board, Melatwork Hailu herself, was chosen from an evangelical church and was told that the covenant of the Lord is on the throne in Arat Kilo, and that it was her assignment to ensure the fortification of that kingdom. Both Melatwork Hailu, who is manipulating election laws, and the self-proclaimed pastors and prophets, who associate the Prime Minister's regime as the very covenant of the Lord, have launched a campaign. We find a person named Bekkele Waldekidan, who justified the war that was immersed in crimes against humanity, coming out and flattering Abiy Ahmed by saying that the Lord has given us a Prime Minister who went around the room and washed the feet of all the representatives of the Council of Churches. When he described Abiy Ahmed, the person who made the losing of the legs possible for a number of young people, and when he only referred to the washing of the feet by Abiy Ahmed, it is only clear that we are dealing with a mere public stunt. One of the self-proclaiming pastors and prophets, and one of the selected few awardees of millions of birr, of land and housing, plus a prayer and a vision, was the head of Zinash Tayacheo's First Lady's main office and is coordinating the Evangelical wing of the palace. The brother of this man, who was given 1 million Ethiopian birr by Abiy Ahmed, is on the separate mission. We will name the man. But before we do that, we want to remind our audience the following. The focus of this program is not the believers and their evangelical doctrine. Ethio Forum respects the teachings of evangelism and the religion millions believe in. Ethio Forum approaches each religion with respect. However, as we did not keep quiet when bishops were blessing wars in the name of religion, as we opined on the inappropriateness of the complacency of Islamic Council when believers and national treasures were being destroyed, we will utilize the same yardstick and analyze the so-called pastors and prophets when they utilize the Evangelical Church and its followers for a warmongering regime. Therefore, we would want to make it clear that this program does not target the evangelicals we respect and their religion we honor. Just as there are bishops that are warlords, we believe there are pastors in charge of the mechanized artillery division. Our focus is to explore the relationship between these individuals and the regime. We also understand that, just like the rest of their Ethiopian brothers and sisters, followers of the evangelical faith are subjects of atrocities, and they are victims of inflation and the failing economy. They suffer in wars and conflicts and are not beneficiaries of the system. We also know too well that there are preachers and followers of the faith who pray for their people and continue their pleading to their Mecca for peace to their nation. Ladies and gentlemen, here we would like to end the first part of this two-part presentation. While we hope you have enjoyed this first segment, we have no doubt that you will join us for the second and final part of this highly credible investigative piece, which will follow shortly. And we will guarantee you that we will explore more revealing scandalous transactions in and around the palace and the Ethiopian Evangelical Council of Churches. We are thankful to Ethio Forum for giving us permission to present this work in English. And finally, thank you for joining us, and we wish you the best of times.